WFP African Food Safety and Quality has organized today's program with an expectation to strategically collaborate and dialogue among the key stakeholders for food safety and quality on the African continent. With the vision of food safety and quality shared strategy direction, a continued forum for knowledge exchange and sharing ideas that will have immediate effect on the FSQ work across the continent.
I'm the Deputy Chief Executive of the Food Regulation. This we've been working. Food and Drugs Authority is the body that has been set by the government to handle the regulation of food, drugs, medical devices, chemical substances, household chemical substances. What we are having this morning is a program with the World Food Program. And as the name suggests, the World Food Program, they've got to do with food security. Times when people don't have food to eat, they are in trouble times. Either they are stressed, in hunger, in war times. And I think, for example, what's happening in Somalia, it shows the importance of what they do. But we work with Food and Drugs Authority. And over here in Ghana, Food and Drugs Authority has worked with them over the years. For example, there's a product you hear, Tom Beta. It's one of the products that they sponsored, and we work with them on it so that it will help improve the nutrition of pregnant women. And so Food and Drugs Authority is very happy to work with the World Food Program. And as they are meeting today, they brought their different officers, technical officers, and more or less it's like networking and sharing information that is important in the scientific world. And so we are also here to welcome them on such an endeavor and our willingness to work with them. And so whilst talking to them, we talked about what we call the food safety policy, which actually ensures that the various agencies that handle food regulation in Ghana are mandated by the policy to work together. So the areas of working are clearly defined so that there will not be turf wars. Someone will say that this is my job, you've taken over my job, but rather we will learn to work together. And so it's in such a spirit too that the WFP also sharing ideas among themselves to see how best they can push the issues of food security as the Food and Drugs Authority pushes the issues of food safety. So it's just like one sister institution meeting the other and then collaborating. And we are happy that this morning we are having this program, this two-day program. And so Food and Drugs Authority, that is Mrs. Dilistaku, the Chief Executive, supporting them in this endeavor. So that's why we are here this morning. We are looking inward and strengthening our system. So that was the Food and Drugs Authority this morning had the opportunity to share with the World Food Program the concept of what we call the progressive license scheme. Sometimes people who are manufacturing products here think that the registration process is cumbersome and it's expensive. But there's a flagship program that the Food and Drugs Authority has been pushing, and we are happy to say that we have been able to register over, over 1,000 products that belong to what we call the Progressive Licensing Scheme. Now, what is the Progressive Licensing Scheme? The Progressive Licensing Scheme is a scheme that, in a stepwise manner, registers the products of people by first registering the premises that they use, so that if you deal with the issues of hygiene properly, that one they would register that, and that is, you are given a pink certificate. But you will be expected that you improve to the next step, which is the yellow certificate. So with a yellow certificate, you move to the green certificate. That is a full, what we say, GMP, good manufacturing practices. And then we've got our industrial support service, that's for the Food and Drug Authority, to help the industry to learn what they need to know. So we offer them support that way. And we believe that when these schemes stand up, these are the local industries that would stand up, which one day is able to also support the World Food Program, also in their programs. Otherwise, then it's like if you are not able to produce products, food that is hygienic in nature and not contaminated, then it means that if the World Food Program is doing something, then they will not be looking inward, let's say here in Ghana, to pick whatever products that they do. But just like in the case of Tomvita and other products, we were able to work with them. And so it's a win-win situation. And we think that the local industry should be up and doing, should take opportunity, should come to the Food and Drug Authority, because we are working also with the Ghana Enterprises Agency. First they were called NBSSI, National Bureau for Small Scale. Now they are called GEA, and we are working with them where the government gives some support, so that like the registration, you go there, you go to GEA, then they bring you to the FDA. We send our support to look at your premises, we look at your label, and in the end you see that somebody gets registered easily and without stress, and many industries have taken advantage of that. So we are urging people to take advantage of the progressive license scheme of the Food and Drugs Authority to be able to scale up better.
In that we are ordering 4 super cereals from Premium Food. The other company, which is Yedid, they are not a vendor of WFP, but however, they're still an example of the future for WFP in Ghana. They were able to specialize in local production and have a multi-user facility that they're now operating in, and we count that as a huge success for WFP. I mentioned earlier that the work that we're doing here in the future in our next country strategic plan, in no small measure under the food system, is based on the success of Yedid Food. Because what we want to do in the north is open a multi-user facility, borrowing from the lessons learned that we've had with Yedid. So this work speaks of how we will position ourselves, or how we have positioned ourselves in Ghana, where we're working closely with the government, not just FDA, but the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ministry of Trade, and we're looking at how WFP, not on its own, but in collaboration with the greater UN bodies and the private sector here as well, how can we jointly identify gaps with the government, and also overlaps, how are we going to close those gaps and how are we going to eliminate these overlaps. I think FDA mentioned earlier that they have now passed a new food safety policy. That's an example of how, and he talks about how there were competition, and this policy now will eliminate that competition. That's exactly the type of work that we're talking about, that there should be a mechanism in place to look at, can we do things better? Can we do things more efficiently so that more Ghanaians in the private sector, and we can get to a place where there is a Ghana Beyond Aid, and that's the type of work that we're doing here. Huge. One of the things that our value proposition, and that's why we've invited them here, is to work closely to demystify this erroneous opinion that somehow or another things are more complicated in Africa. But to really, I think food safety, food quality is there, but we need to work on our image. We need to work on redefining how people think of Africa and make it a more welcoming place to come in and trade. Our work with the Africa Free Trade Continental Organization is key at that. And not just WFP bilaterally working with them, but with the government as well. So that's one of the reasons why we've brought the private sector in. And we tend mainly not to speak their language, and we want them to critique us and let us know what is it that we're doing that we should be doing more of to bring private sector more into the dialogue and make them a part of the solution.
Has been extremely welcoming to food safety aspects, and that's why we chose Ghana to do our Pan-African meeting this year. So we have people here from all over Africa, from other continents as well, and we have many external stakeholders, right? Because we work in as a group towards achieving food safety worldwide. We're extremely happy with the work that's being done in Ghana. We've been very successful, and it's become a model for other countries as well on how we're developing the local suppliers, making sure that their food safety levels are brought up so that they can also expand and become exporters, and also, of course, supply the local market for us. I think what we are experiencing now is an unprecedented crisis level around the world, and that has really put a lot of strength on food safety and providing safe food for the World Food Programme. So what we've been doing lately is really focusing on the emerging risks, enhancing our basic food safety systems. And we are focusing this year in the African continent, making sure that we see the synergies, making sure that we know our partners in the region, and ensuring that food is safe for everyone every time we deliver it. Food safety can be improved everywhere, and it's constantly changing. You know, the risks and the emerging risks are different depending where we are, right? So we need to adapt to what we are seeing locally in different locations. But definitely we're looking at a much more harmonized food safety system worldwide. And I can say that the practices in Ghana have been really impressive and served as benchmark for other locations as well, including some very interesting and innovative ways of doing things. And that's why we're here, to be honest, to look into what specially Ghana is doing, how we can take this example to others, and how we can bring also the global corporate view into Africa and how to implement that properly. So I think it's a two-way street where we share both ways and try to evolve, although it's very challenging because the world is evolving with us and we have unprecedented number of crises going on around the world right now that impacts the food systems very much. This meeting is the first for many years because we had the pandemic. We could not meet face to face. So we're taking the opportunity to benchmark, to network, and to set the scene for the future. Our operations have greatly increased, and we need to rewire and rediscuss how we can work as a team more efficiently to make sure that we continue to provide food now in much larger scale. We've seen a few suppliers that were able to really pull off upgrading their infrastructure and also their food safety systems to international standards, especially for the specialized nutritious foods that WFP procures a lot. So currently we have one supplier in Ghana that is providing for the local market, but also for exports, including even in Afghanistan, for example, and other stakeholders, other suppliers, local manufacturers that are improving their systems as we speak. So we see a lot of momentum in the local industry to comply to these standards, to really invest in food safety systems as an enabler for business. So that's something very unique that we see in Ghana.
Thank you for watching Nation One TV. Kindly subscribe for more news updates.